Hello, my name is Vanessa, and I am a recovering awkward person. This is me at the peak of what I like to call my plaid vest phase. Luckily, my years of social awkwardness led me to a fascinating career trying to figure out how people work. So what I didn't realize is that many years ago, I would do an experiment that led me right on this stage in front of you here today. My lab researchers and I were curious about TED Talks. We wanted to know, why do some TED Talks go viral and others don't? So we embarked on a huge experiment. We analyzed thousands of hours of TED Talks looking for patterns. Now, I wasn't sure if we would find anything, so we were analyzing body language, hand gestures, vocal variety. We even looked at outfit choices, which made today particularly pressure-filled. And very quickly, there was a pattern in the data that made me curious. And after we coded more and more TED Talks, we realized there was a pattern. Now, before I tell you what that is, I have a personal question for you, which is, when you see someone, what part of the body do you look at first? You can just call it out. Where do you look first when you see someone? Face, eyes. So most people, shoes. They're very high. So most people say eyes, face, or mouth. But actually, when we first see someone, the first place we look is the hands. And this is left over from our caveman days, because if we were approached by a stranger caveman, the first place we looked was the hands to see if they were carrying a rock or a spear. In other words, we wanted to know if we were safe, if they were friend or foe. Now, this actually still remains from caveman days. And when we can't see someone's hands, something interesting happens. So I just did something a little mean to your brain. You should start to feel just a little bit uncomfortable. And the reason for that is because when you can't see my hands, you wonder, what is she doing back there? And then the longer I leave my hands behind my back, you get more and more distracted because you can't see them. And eventually your brain is just screaming, can she just bring her hands out from behind her back? And the moment I bring them back out, it feels so much better. And this is because our brain knows that if we can't see hands, we can't see intention. And what we found is when we compared the most viewed TED Talks side by side with the least viewed TED Talks, we found a pattern with hand gestures. Specifically, on average, the most popular TED Talkers use an average of 465 hand gestures in 18 minutes. Yes, we painstakingly counted every single one. I have 465 prepared for you today. And the least popular TED Talkers use an average of 272 hand gestures, almost half. What's happening here? So when TED speakers take the stage, they're showing you first, friend, 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 friend. You'll notice when I walked out on the stage, I waved. I was saying friend, 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 friend. And the other thing that TED speakers do is, see if this looks familiar. So they come into the red dot and they do something like this. Today, I want to talk to you about a big idea. I'm going to break it down into 3 different areas that are going to change your life. Right? So the most viral TED Talkers seem to sit in the same way with these hand gestures, because what they're doing is they're showing you, I know my content so well that I can speak to you on 2 different tracks. I can speak to you with my words, but I can also explain my concepts with my hands. And this way, they underline their concepts with their words. For example, if I were to say, today, I have a really big idea. It's huge. You laugh, and you're like, Vanessa, it's so small. It's not very big. And that is because your brain gives 12.5 times more weight to hand gestures. So today, I have a really, really big idea, and I'm going to explain it to you in 3 different ways. My big idea is that we are contagious. Specifically, as humans, we are constantly sending and decoding body language signals. We also do this emotionally and chemically. This means that our emotions are contagious. Our fear is contagious. Our confidence is contagious. And this begs the big question. If our emotions are contagious, how do we make sure that we're infecting people with the right ones? So I believe that we can be contagious in 3 different ways. The first one is non-verbally. Now, to test this idea, I did a very simple experiment in the streets of Portland, Oregon. What I did is I stood in the street and I looked up at nothing. And I wanted to see if people would catch or mirror my nonverbal. So you can see this video. I stand in the streets looking at nothing. And slowly, one by one, I infect people walking by. And slowly, we begin to gather a crowd. So, this poor woman, she was standing there with me, and we're standing there, and remember, we're looking at nothing. I just want to improve it. And we're standing, and I'm going, how long are we gonna stand here? Who's gonna break first? And after about 40 seconds, we're looking, and she leans over and she says, is he gonna jump? And this experience taught me that we catch emotions and then we create rationales for why we've caught that emotion. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter that we produce when we feel pleasure or when we get a reward. So my challenge for you today is to think about how you want to infect people. When you want to harness incitement or trigger excitement, ask dopamine-worthy conversation starters. Use more hand gestures, make authentic smiles, and never pick up the phone in a bad mood. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to end on a note of excitement. I want to make you really infectious. So what we're going to do to end this talk is on the count of 3, with all of the energy you can muster, I want you to yell out, I'm excited. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm excited! You rock, Ted.